Hi, this is a Meccano No. 2 clock kit, as built per instructions. As you can see then it went off at 5 o'clock and it was 5 chimes, even though it's not timed quite right. Like I said, it's built as per the instructions, but it didn't initially run very well. It would only run for about 4 hours at most, and as per looking on the internet, I stripped the clock down and found out that the axles were actually wearing on the perforated strips. It was cut in some nice grooves into the shafts purely due to the 4.5 pound weight that drives the clock mechanism. So I stripped it down and done a couple of simple mods with the Meccano parts. Inside the clock mechanism on the main drive shaft, which is the one the camera's pointing directly at, I basically put a couple of cranks and bolted them to the girders and the perforated strips to act as substantial bearings rather than just relying on the perforated strips. So yeah, a brass bearing on a steel shaft, well oiled, bigger surface area, and much better. More of that 4.5 pound energy is actually going into driving the clock mechanism. And the second mod I made, which was on the secondary shaft, where you can see the gear there that drives from the primary onto the secondary, I've basically fitted connectors. Can't really see them very well, but there's connectors in there basically now, axle connectors that are used as bearings, and they're bolted to long threaded pins which are attached to angle brackets and bolted to the frame. The reason I've done it like that because it's not affected really by alignment, but it definitely gives it a good bearing surface in the direction that the shaft is trying to move with the wheel, and you can align it quite nicely and make it quite free. And after doing those couple of mods and oiling it all quite well, it runs quite well, to be honest. It doesn't go for a huge length of time, but it'll certainly run the clock driving weight right out, and it'll go for about 8 hours. And the chiming mechanism works reasonably well. It can jam up occasionally, but I'm still fine-tuning that, to be honest. But the only other issue I had with the clock during building it really was the frame. The frame, if you build it as per the instructions, wouldn't clear the chime wheel. It kept jamming with the bolts. So basically those discs there, they had to be moved to the other side of the frame. And that just about gave enough clearance then once the frame was properly aligned. But alignment is critical with building this clock. Bought the kit, always wanted to make one. Now I have. It's quite good. Seems to run nicely and keep reasonably good time. I haven't stuck the stickers onto the dial because they're all original. I just basically didn't want to use them. Another interesting fact with this I didn't realise until purchasing the kit was the pendulum rod is actually aluminium, which is quite nice. But when I'm done, which will probably be in a couple of days, it'll be stripped down and I'll be using it for bits to go with the rest of my Meccano. There we are, thanks.